Stock and Options Trading Unlocked.
If you want to learn how to make 6 or 7 figures a year trading 2 hours a day, this is the show for you.
We're here to talk about everything trading, weekly news, tips, and special guests to get you motivated and profitable.
Don't forget, everything you hear is opinion only and not to be considered financial advice.
Here are your hosts, Athul Patel and David Picard. Welcome to Stock and Options Trading Unlocked.
If you want to...
Alrighty, everyone. Hi. Let me get turn my video on. Which camera is it today? There we go. Use that one. How you doing, Dave?
Good. How are you?
Not bad. Not bad. Had a
You have a pretty good day again, huh?
yeah, it was okay.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Oh, so modest.
I had to trade a little differently today.
After
And
your pampering yesterday?
yes, well, you got to do that when you have a killer day. We're going to go about 1,000 on 1K trade bets, but yeah, I had to go see a doc today, and it was a full checkup and everything. So I had to plan that for my trading today about what I was going to do, right? And so I like to normally enter same day trades a little bit later in the day, but I guess I could have made a guess for what price it could have been, but I didn't know how the price action was going to go. So took calls and puts, and the puts worked and the calls worked. Just following the
Always
rules,
amazing.
right?
Yeah.
So the puts went, we had the drop right into VWAP this afternoon, and then I'm like, well, I'll just leave the calls. I'm going to lock these in, and I'm just going to leave the calls. I mean, they're already I think my entry on the calls were $3, and it came down to $1.30. And at that point, I was just like, well, it's no point in selling it. It's already wiped, and if we hold here, I still might get that end of day move, and we did. So it worked out nice.
Very much so.
But what's nice on when we have trades like that is, so that was kind of I don't know if they call it a strangle or straddle, but basically you're kind of made a plan for both directions, and it moves in one in your favor right to a level. You can use that profit as basically, I wasn't worried about losing anything, because when I locked that profit in, even if the calls went to zero, I would have been at least break even or green.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And so
Trade.
so that worked out really nicely. So you just put stops in place after that move, and I was in the middle of an exam, and Doc popped out, and those contracts were $17, and suddenly. And right, I was at the dock, and I was under $17, and I'm like, I'll take it, because I've had too many times where I'm like, it actually happened on Tuesday, where I was holding for $30, and these contracts. I mean, I stopped out okay, but if I didn't stop and I didn't take any profit, those I'll show that on Tuesday. Those went from 17 to 0.
Yeah.
Right. And so you want to make sure that, it seems to be a sweet spot on my numbers and the way that market's moving right now, that if I get over $12, $15, it's a good, especially when you're getting in from 3. Tuesday was ridiculous, but that's
Great risk reward.
yeah, it was good. It's good. That's what we want. How was your day?
My day was great. Only really pretty simple. 2 trades, that's it. And T1s on them, and then stopped at break even. So nothing crazy for me. I had a busy day myself. So, I'll take the just steady 2.5%, 3%, and go on tomorrow. So
Sorry guys, I'm just trying to make my camera and the Zoom video be like near each other, so it doesn't look like I'm always not, you're not always looking at the bottom of my chin. Um, but yes, I got
Yeah,
pampered. Look,
good
I mean, I
guy.
look human. You guys have been seeing me like all scruff, like just horrible for a while. So good to get pampered.
So tell us, where'd you go? What'd you do?
Oh, we're not gonna go into all that.
Oh, everyone wants to know how you
Well,
treat yourself.
well, I mean, I have a stylist that has been out for a while, so I went to go see her first. So
Okay.
she went and gave me this little bit, and
The beautiful mug we're looking at.
this great mug, and yeah, it was in 2 hours. This was not like she spent 2 hours on my face doing I don't know what, but
With what hair? What are we talking about?
well,
Two
she had to
hours.
remove all the hair first, right? So she had to remove all the hair, then put lotion and all kinds of whatever craziness, and then
I'm
like
like 30
straight
minutes in now.
edge for the shave, and of course I had to be steamed for a while, and
I
just
like that.
she just like yeah really just pampered me,
There
and
you go.
and then just went for a massage, and um, but I still
Like
haven't
that.
found an amazing place yet in PR, so I'm still looking for that. So if anybody's got a great masseuse and you're watching, please send them my way. Um, you know,
Only if you're gonna fly him there.
uh-oh, they'd have to be incredible. um, but yeah, so it was kind of fun. But guys, I mean, why do we trade? We trade to live. And just like this, I had like this healther going for the doc for getting full physical and everything. So the priority was the middle of the day, trading day. I knew there was going to be opportunity, but I arranged my trades to either work or not work. I traded smaller, um, because I had to, and but things still kind of played out and worked out okay. Um, which is
Goes
actually
right into our
the
topic for
topic,
today,
yeah.
though. Yeah, planning, right? Having patience for those entries and exits.
And guys, think about the trades you've been in where you got in, you had a feeling, but you didn't necessarily completely plan it out. It goes deep red on you. Maybe you add once. You take some heat, so as Dave likes to say, and then it eventually works. And then you end up like, hey, great, I made 30% on those things. But if you were to go back and say, hey, if I planned this trade, if I had maybe, I mean, use my levels or someone else's, or you did your
Sure.
analysis yourself and you figured out the levels properly, um, and if you had planned an entry off some of those uh, and waited for that entry, what more could you have made without that stress on that heat, right? Instead of a 30% gain, you might have had 300%.
Sure.
And that's what I really like. I'm passionate so much about this planning and using the levels because they're such incredible guides. And I'm really going to go into a little bit of detail about the one of the 1K trade, the one of the trades, the killer one from Tuesday, and how using the levels can really just tell you what to do. And for entries,
Excited.
exits, yeah. So we'll do that. Yeah. So with that, let's first, before we do that, let's stick with our process. Let's do a little bit of
Up next, Market Madness.
market madness.
Is the intro playing?
Yeah, it just said market madness. So
I need to take care of this light. I
okay,
got too much light in my face for you guys.
I see.
That should be better.
All right, so now, yes, you're back. So market's been a little crazy, huh? What are your thoughts about what's going on?
I'm loving it. The range is just phenomenal. Um, what I think has been going on is we've been having kind of bear market rallies, right? And what's been interesting is I feel like as of late, especially, the pops have been getting weaker and weaker. I don't know what your take on that is. Have you noticed that too?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, one thing is that we're getting gap downs. I think there's a lot of people who are on the short side, which is kind of explaining why we're getting these rallies mid to late day. Is I think people are loading up, expecting the big dump, and is triggering a short squeeze. And that's what we've been getting. So what you know, what you almost got to do is you got to short into the squeeze at the end of the day, or whatever you get up into a major level. Um, so yeah, I mean, all the news is negative. We got probably inflation. The CPI, PPI numbers were bad. Um, showing there's a lot of inflation going on. Fed is saying that we're looking to crank on the tightening. There's no really
Yeah,
reason to be
I
holding
think
for
they
a
were
big
saying
long.
that this might be one of the last of the highest inflation numbers. And then also, they're moving forward with the interest rate hikes, like you're
Hmm.
saying. I think potentially three quarters, even maybe more. So we'll see as they get aggressive.
So,
They tightened the money supply did come in
mhm.
recently, if you were watching that. So I mean, we're seeing it happening. We're just gonna have to see how I think they continue to progress as they've really been historically willing to kind of support the market when times needed, right? In one way or another. So,
Yeah, I mean, I was really expecting a push into 400 to 410. Where we broke down on the big gap downs. I was expecting those to get filled before the next leg down, but really it kind of feels like we're in process. Um, Now that said, we may have trapped a lot of shorts this last week, right? So I was looking for us to hit those numbers early this week, um, and then going into Fed next week, start getting the dump, right? Next week or week after.
yeah.
And so we'll see. There, maybe we'll still get that squeeze. Um, Now, one thing that was interesting to me was that the Fed said that they're going to pay attention to the retail numbers tomorrow. And so, based on that, if
That
retail
makes
comes numbers
sense.
come strong, the consumer spending comes in strong, um, that could be market negative because the Fed's then going to say, "Hey, we really need to tighten." At least I think that's my interpretation of what they said. Now, if it comes in weak, maybe folks start going, "Hey, maybe the Fed might not, whatever," and so maybe we get a squeeze, right? So I'm kind of watching for that SPY 383. If we clear SPY
Oh,
383
I
tomorrow,
mean, that makes sense,
yeah,
right? Because if the numbers come in weaker, then they're saying, hey, consumer spending's not what we
yeah, it's
thought. We
tamping
want to
down,
support a
and
little
yeah.
bit, right? So I
Mhm.
think I hear you, and that makes a lot of sense.
So
Um,
tomorrow we should have some great opportunities.
yeah. I'm just looking at SPY right now. It's interesting. Looks like though that it had kind of double top lower high right around that 390.
Yep.
But we'll see. It'll be fun. There's going to be a ton of opportunities in there have been,
And they're,
right?
oh yeah.
And I think that's actually great to move us into our next topic of $1,000 bets because we got to
Yeah.
hear some of
So I didn't do a $1,000
the
bet on this, and
madness
I
you
kind of
pulled
I kind of
recently.
wish well, I mean, my numbers are
Up next,
uh
$1,000 bets.
uh
Let's see what you pulled.
okay. Oh, let me move this because I'm covering my text there. All right. So if you guys see this, oh, I forgot I'm not capturing the mouse the pointer is not captured. But for those in the THT group, I had shared this plan about, I wrote about 3820 puts, right? And then using the levels, I was basically targeting for SPY to drop into 379 for the day, right? Now, where I screwed up in this, here's my thought. I'm targeting 379 to come on SPY. I forgot about SPX being about 1.5 points off of what SPY is right now. So what that means is that when SPY hits 379, SPX should be 380.50. Right around there, 38.05.
38.05.
Yeah. Which is exactly where it went. But I'm sitting here thinking $30 is coming.
I remember we're talking about this.
You know? But that said, because of planning, okay. Now this was a YOLO $300 bet instead of $1,000. Like this was like, I don't know if this is gonna play out. We might just sit here and do nothing. But it looked like a good bet to me, like a great risk reward, because if it played out, I mean, it was like, I think this could be 100 bagger. Right? I mean, I could not believe my eyes. I was like, I had no choice. I have to take this trade. But of course, so if you took instead of, well, I'm not even going to say, because the numbers would be so ridiculous. That's why I'm not putting in $1,000 bet right here. Right? I mean, it would basically, if it was a full $1,000 bet, you're looking at roughly $1,000 to like $45,000-$50,000. Crazy. But let's just say you don't
need to, though. That's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, look at
the
this.
risk reward's so beautiful. It just sets
sometimes
up.
You have these. You get in 30 cents, right? It works. Targeting works. Maybe you take you see a rip into $7-8 here. You take half off.
Absolutely.
Now there's no way for you to lose, even if it went to zero.
Good practice.
Right? And then you wait for that 379 on SPY to come. You see the 379 on SPY come, boom, I'm selling. Right? Or you wait for the whole thing, go, I don't care. I'm either going to lose $300 or I'm going to freaking, be incredible on this thing, right? And this kind of ties in with that being patient, right? You take the entry, you put your stops, or you don't have stops, you have a plan, right? And then you're just saying, hey, where's it supposed to go, right? So if you're using the levels and you see, you should start seeing how often things move to the levels, right? And how crazy accurate sometimes they are. It doesn't always get there, but even if it doesn't always get there, if you have an insane risk reward, I'm taking some profit.
And that's why it's systematic, right?
You have to have a system.
You just want good practice, and when you see it happen over and over, you understand it and have the ability to have that patience, because you go, hey, I'm betting 30 cents, so you know what? Good practice is maybe I take a couple off at somewhere between $3 and $5 or $7. Then guess what? I'm paid for, and you know what? Let's let it go. Here's my targets. I'm going to let it wait. I'm going to watch this happen, come to fruition, because this was the plan. Why do I need to micromanage a trade when it's golden?
Right, because what happens here, guys, how many times I'm just as guilty of this, and I've done this, and I hate myself for this when I do it. You get in, you have the most incredible entry, but you sell too soon. And then it starts doing what your plan is. Now you chase it. Then it pulls back on you and gets stopped out. And then it starts working again. Now you chase again. Then it pulls back again. You get stopped out. Right? And, that chop is very real. Okay? Once things start moving, especially on SPX. Very, very real. And if you're wrong, it can be very expensive and you can get wiped out. And so you got to watch your sizing. You got to watch your planning and whatnot. But that's where the other side comes in. If you had a great entry with a great risk reward, then your job mostly is not getting in and out. It's taking profit along the way. And taking profit at targets. My job is to collect that paycheck. I don't got to do anything else. Right? But you got to have that plan. You got to be patient. You have to have your rules for taking your profits. And then just be happy with whatever you got that day. Rather than trying to now start forcing it. Now you're in your unplanned trade territory, and you're about to get your butt wrecked.
Yeah. And so, I mean, on that day you took those 3820s, I was in the 3840s. I paid about $3 for them, and mine went to about 30. You
Yeah.
don't remember. They actually went up to about 37 at one point, but I didn't catch all of the move. But it was
Yeah.
I got a good 10x on it. It was phenomenal.
That was
Yeah.
great. And that was the risk reward you were comfortable. You're like, I'd rather go a little more in the money. And then for me,
They were still
I was,
out of the money at the time, but just not as much.
yeah.
You're better with finessing that than I am.
Yeah.
So that's
It worked out
one of
well.
your specialties.
Yeah, it was, but it was because I was planning for that move, and then I was just like, this is no brainer. And it did one of my favorite setups. Remember, I even predicted it.
Yeah.
I said, watch for that faker pop, right?
1 o'clock faker pop.
It went and did the faker pop, and then boom, 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 boom. So that was it. That told me the story. Here's my great risk reward. Should play out. I've got to walk away. And it actually helped what I had to do. Patience. I don't have much. Okay? That's why I need to have process. So when I want to sit on my hands and I don't want to end up over managing something, I have to walk away. Go for a walk. Right? Let it just play. Go for a walk. Set alerts. Okay. Oh, it's almost there. Okay, great. Do something else. Because based on my experience, what I'm going to do, oh, it hits $5. Great. I'm going to try to reload now at $3.55. Oh, it dropped to $2. Okay, I better stop out. Oh, now it's at $10. You get caught up in that craziness. Rather than, I just want to not be in that. I'm either going to lose or I'm going to collect my paychecks. But in order to manage myself, and this is that whole patience, we should probably talk a little bit about that during the slides. But the whole thing there is really about figuring out what you need to allow yourself to be patient.
Correct.
Okay, that's the point I was trying to make there. All right, let me show you guys the next slide. This was a trade that was from a couple days ago. This is the one from today. Now, this was a little more complicated. So what I had shared with the group was because I knew I was going to the doctors, and I was doing my risk reward math, and I was like, you know what? It's a fair risk reward to take the 3780 calls at $3 and the 3730 puts for $3, right?
Yeah.
And I think the 30s spiked up to $6 or $7 or maybe $8. I don't remember. And then the 30s came down to that $1.50, $1.30, but then they went up to 15, 16, no, $17, right? Yeah, they went to $17, right? And so I had planned that early. If I was really focused and planning and wasn't worried about having to go away, I might have waited just for that VWAP test for that entry. But because I wasn't sure, I was like, oh, this might just go in. We may not get that VWAP test. I wanted to have both sides covered. So that way, if we got a squeeze in the day, I was set. And if we got the dump, I was set. And,
And it worked out.
And so this one, those $3, $900, right? 3 contracts.
Beautiful.
They went to $17, right? So let's just say you sold it at $15. That's 40. You're selling it for $4,500. You take $900 off for what it cost you. That leaves you with $3,600 profit.
Yeah.
Nice, clean. It's not the 300 to 15K. But that's a rare thing. Okay, that doesn't happen all the time.
And
okay,
and just
300
to
to
kind of
15.
give some perspective on this,
Yeah.
you look at that opportunity to get in there in that price point, right? There was plenty of time.
Oh, there's totally. And if you just follow setups.
I just want to call that out for everyone, because sometimes, it seems like these entries are so hard to get, but it's all planning. It's there. This was not like a flash entry. It was there. I mean, there phenomenal opportunity to get into this trade with a great risk reward, and give or take even 10% or of that, you could have set yourself up a really nice risk reward trade.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was good. I mean, so this was, did the spike, came back, And then in the afternoon, it did what it was supposed to do. I was at the doc's office, and I'm like, oh, thank you. Just paid for the doctor's visit. um,
Did you find a good one? Speaking of yet, I know you were in the
yeah,
trade.
yeah, I think I hope so. I mean, the doc spent like an hour with me,
Nice.
hour and 15 minutes.
Usually get like 10 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, you know, so
Usually in and out.
I no, they did that, and also so I saw two doctors today actually. One did the whole checking my movement and everything. I guess he's a sports medicine doc.
Yeah.
And you know, checked my mobility out and everything. You know, as you get older,
He told you were never going to be an athlete, I'm sure.
he said, "Yeah, so when's your game? When's your next game? It's ready for me. He's ready to come. Yeah, support." So yeah, so it was all good. Okay, so next, I think we should go ahead and move into the slides.
Up next, tip of the week.
Talk about our topic, huh?
And I'm sorry,
Tip of the
guys.
week.
It's not well. We're not. This is last week's, and sorry, everyone. Let me clear that out. I know. I just totally forgot to load it up in here, so I'm just doing that right now. Sorry, guys. There we go. Okay, finally.
Any questions from anyone who's watching in the meantime?
Come on, there we go.
You got any plans for your weekend, Spectre?
Let's see. Sorry, guys, this has been a little bit finicky. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so the no, well, weather's been kind of like this. I was kind of hoping to go check out another island nearby.
Oh, cool.
But we'll see. So the today's topic is this patience with entries and exits. And so let's move right into it.
Let's do it.
So well, that's really strange. Okay, so why patience? Well, it's when you have patience, you can do the work that's necessary. You can do your planning. It'll help you get better entries, better exits. You're gonna be using defined setups. So trade setups, you're not just haphazardly going into things. You're just being patient. I only want to take the trades that match the setups that I have a history of making money with. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. You want to be patient to only take the trades that match a setup that you have a history of making money with. So that means, hey, I'm not taking every trade setup out there. I'm not taking every alert that's out there. I'm not taking everything that is being thrown at me. I'm not taking every opportunity out there.
You don't get paid to execute a trade. You pay your broker to execute a trade.
Yeah.
You only get paid for good quality trades that go your way.
So now, if you're doing trading with patience and waiting for your defined setups, it's going to be less stressful because you're not kind of guessing. You already know what's supposed to happen, right? May or may not happen. Might still be stressed on that entry. But if you size appropriately and you're like, hey, I know what this is supposed to do. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. That's what it should feel like. It's like I know what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what I'm supposed to be. If you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, then you're not trading your business. Right? You're not as that. And then what you want is, and because you're being patient, you can do things that are repeatable. Okay? It's not these ad hoc, these, I mean, I guess you could repeat ad hoc and maybe you're making money regularly off it, but but even then I bet you have a process and you're actually being patient for something. to make that work. So, okay, let's continue. So for planning, it's important to use, so for me, I have to use levels. My levels are my guide. And then I want to wait for price action, right? And I also want to chart the option contracts. When I put all this stuff together, it helps me plan trades and then let me know what I have to be patient for, right? Hey, I think this is going to go, but is it the best entry? Is it a really good risk reward entry? Okay, now what if it pulls back? Where's it going to go? Well, that's where the charting the option contracts come in to play. Really, really change your world and how you trade and your profitability. So I really encourage everybody, chart your option contracts. I know there's a lot of TradingView lovers out there. I like the platform. I don't use it regularly because it doesn't have the options charting. And so
you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not charting your option when you're trading an option contract.
Yeah.
Would you trade a stock without charting the stock?
You got to do that one extra step.
Why are you doing that with the option contract? It's the same thing.
Okay, let's move on to defined setups. So, so I have, these are my favorite moves I'm sharing here. And my favorite setups are double tops and bottoms, right? Another is gap reversals. Another favorite setup of mine. And failed moves. Actually, failed move is probably my most favorite of the bunch. It's harder, but when you can recognize that pattern, you can even see it in the slide here. I found a chart that I was able to include in this, that you can see at the very end, that little, it looks like it's pushing up and about to go and break out and go higher, right? And it didn't. And then look at how much and how fast it dropped. I love that. That is the, because when you combine that price action with my levels, that's how you can get a 50x trade or a 100x trade. Yeah. Okay. Or a 20x trade or a 5x trade. But the point is, you get an incredible risk reward opportunity. But you got to put it all together. Right? And so you want to have your defined setups, because I know that when this setup happens and I enter, I know what is it supposed to do. And then if I'm wrong, I know what I'm going to lose. It's okay. It's all part of trading, because at net sum, you should be well ahead, right? Because you know that when these defined setups, you might have a 70% win rate, or maybe it's even a 50-50 bet. But if when you're wrong, you lose one, but when you're right, and it's a 50% win rate, but you make, like, say 5x, that's a no-brainer. You take that trade every single time. All day long. You just take it, but you gotta wait. But your system will only work if you're now patient for that 5x or your 3x return. Okay? If you're getting in, and when it's a 50-50 win rate, and you're exiting at 1x gain, what's going to happen when you're wrong 3 times in a row? Right? Because it's not, you never know what that 50-50 is, and how often or how many times you're going to have that in repeated. And so it's a numbers game, right? So when I say that, patience, if you want your system to work, you have to be patient for that entry. You have to be patient for your exits, right? Follow the rules, follow the process that you've defined for yourself, right? Whatever it is. And you got to then go, okay, hey, I'm waiting, and I might be wrong. I may be wrong, right? But that doesn't, but for me, I don't believe that it's always an either or thing, right? It can also be that, hey, I'm in and it's once it's hitting that, let's say 5x, there's no reason it can't go now, turn around and go all the way back and make your 1x gain. Or, if you didn't take that profit and it goes, and it can totally reverse. And now you're almost guaranteed that 1x loss. So just because maybe it goes to 4x, doesn't quite get to your 5x target, doesn't mean you should let it ride to zero, right? Make sure you have a rule to take your profits. And then if it stops working, to exit with a profit. Okay? So, but that's different from it just started working and I'm taking profit. That's what I want to be clear on this. There's a difference of hey, I'm in at something for $5, I'm risking to $3, it goes to 7 and I'm out. Versus, but the opportunity is really it going to 20. Right? And if your plan is it's going to go to 20, and it's supposed to go to 20 based on your setup. So if it goes to 10 or 12, make sure you've taken something, so that if it goes back, it goes back to your 5, you shouldn't go back to 3 or 4 after it being hit in 12.
The point is kind of, to sum it up, don't overmanage it by micromanaging it once you get profitable. But also, if the trade setup itself invalidates itself and starts to change or fail, don't marry to the idea. Get out.
Oh, yeah, actually, that's a good example. A good example would be the puts I had today, right? It hit VWAP. Great. Popped a little bit, started going toward VWAP again. Great. I raised my stops at that point because it's supposed to break VWAP and keep going. But if it bounces off VWAP, I have to exit. It's no longer doing because I was expecting for the VWAP break and have it continue lower. It doesn't do it anymore. Hey, it's invalidated. But yeah, you clarified that well. Thanks, David. Yeah, it was basically the price action invalidated your idea. It's time to get out.
Yeah, don't be married to an idea that's not your idea anymore. Remember that.
Yeah, I mean,
just because you're in the trade doesn't mean the idea is the same thing, right?
Yeah, price action has to support your idea. Okay. And then sometimes you're not going to know in the price action, and that's like one of these cheapy bets where I'm like, I'm in for 30 cents. I don't care if I lose it. Right? Because when you're in that far out and and you need a kind of a big move, it has to be on all or nothing thing sometimes. You just got to make sure you're sizing so that if you're wrong, you don't get hurt on those. All right, next, let's go to the next setup here. Slide. So entries. Make sure that when you're doing that, you just have to remember, I'm going to be patient. It needs to hit something, some rule, or match some sort of reasoning or logic that you have for your entry. Okay. And you got to be patient that it actually hits or does something that fits your model. You got to make sure that you're checking your capital allocation. Okay. If you've got a $3,000 account, should you be putting $2,000 on a trade? Should you be buying $20 contracts? Okay, something to think about. You want to make sure your capital allocation matches. Maybe you have a $100K account. Should you be betting $50K on a trade? Right? What should it be? What is your thing? I'm not, I don't. If this is your money, you got to figure out what your process is. But you got to want to make sure you're defining your capital allocation ahead of time, so that in the heat of the moment, you know what to do, as opposed to trying to figure it out right when you're trying to get in. Okay. And so you also want to, have an idea of the size, just because you have a rough idea. You kind of want to have an idea. I'm looking to get a couple contracts at $3, or 5 contracts at 50 cents, or 10 contracts at $1. Whatever you're comfortable with your risk reward and your sizing, man. but at least have some sort of idea so you're not impulsively choosing some number and without having thought it through. And then you want to make sure you're defining your risk, right? Where are you going to stop out? What price are you going to stop out at? Is it reasonable? Is it reasonable in the sense of the chart as opposed to just a number you pull out? Okay. And then, are you doing a starter and then adding on price action confirmation? So I do that a lot. I like getting cheapy entries, and then once it starts confirming that my idea is right, I like to add to it. So I'm paying more. Okay, instead of averaging down, I'm averaging up as the idea is saying, hey, I'm right. My idea is working. And then if you're wrong, you get out on your average and you stop out. But if it's working and you're entering and timing everything right, it should never come back after you put those ads on. And then finally, to help you with entries, chart your option prices. Chart those options. It's an amazing, amazing tool that can only help you, I believe.
Yeah, hands down.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's a must.
It's like it's a big part of like how do I know? There's no secret. I'm just charting option prices. And then there's a little bit of kind of like my experience, but
you learn there's an art to it.
There's definitely
for reading the correlations between where you're expecting the instrument price and the option price, but you don't get that without doing it and practicing it every day.
Yep.
That's the thing.
Okay, now your exits. Think about it. If you set your sell orders in advance, it's going to help you be patient for those numbers to come. Right? It should, at least. But if you're kind of like just jumping in and then you're just, am I wrong? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Am I going to sell? And then it starts working. Right? That's how you get into trouble. The other thing is you get greedy. Oh my God, I'm so far up. I can't wait till it's going to go more. And you don't sell. And then it dumps. Right? And I mean, our targeting is pretty good. There's a lot of times that things just hit our targets or for our exits and then they just dump after that. Like 5 minutes later, it'll be half the price or less. And so we target pretty well. But if you're doing that, put those orders in. Just trust. So what if it goes more? So what if it goes, you were in at 5, you sold at 14, it goes to 17. Who cares?
And if it's only going that little bit extra, it's no big deal. But if it's going to go to 50, you're going to have an opportunity to get back in. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, there will be before it goes, a lot of times, before something goes to 17 or 50, if it goes from this to 17, it'll probably come back to 7 or 10 before it goes to 50. A lot of times.
And even if it doesn't, you miss 5, 10, 15 of the move. A move that big, if it's another $30, you can miss $10. Find the right entry with perfect risk reward so you can be patient, comfortable with your sizing, have a good planned entry with a, guess what? Good planned exit.
Absolutely. Right. And so, for me, people had heard me like, I think it's going to keep going, but I have my rules. Hey, it hit my level. I have to sell. I don't have a choice. I literally share that with my group all the time, where I don't have a choice. I want it to go more, but I have to sell because I don't have a choice because of my process. And those are the exits, just hard coded. And even if it keeps going, I'm just going to have to wait for a better entry. Then having stop loss rules, right? That's just part of it. It doesn't always go to what you want. Making sure that you're exiting appropriately, right? And it's appropriate to the chart, not just a dollar number, ideally. But if you had a chase entry and you just got to stop out because you have a chase entry, but with a full size or something, you just got to honor your stop. And then honor your plan. Trust yourself, right? You've made a plan. You know what you've been doing. It goes from one place to another, whatever you think, and it's been working. Then just believe in yourself, right? I mean, guys, there's a lot of really great traders out there and or you have great trade ideas, but you're just fumbling a little bit with the executions, right? And that comes with not trusting yourself or not honoring your plan, and then
We see it
maybe
too often.
not being patient for your plan to set up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so not I should just say not just honor your plan, but honor your entries and exits for your plan, right? I think that covers most of it. Let's see if I have a repetition. Yes. So why do we talk so much about being patient, using defined setups, waiting for the right entries and exits? It's because, like we've talked about this whole program, is it's about building your business. And businesses are built on having repeatable processes, right? If you don't have a process for defining your trades, how are you going to be able to estimate what's going to happen in the future or know what to do in the future? Okay. God, like I don't know how to say it any different. Like these trades, a lot of the trades we share and do, they're planned. And it's and
Significant portion of them.
yeah, right. They're planned.
More are planned than aren't. That's for sure.
Yeah. And the point I'm trying to get at is with entries and exits and targeting, right? And so it's not you can't, I don't want anybody to think that you cannot forecast how things are going to move or where they're going to go or what it's going to do. Okay. I don't like to say I can predict what's going to happen, though I sometimes say I'm Zoltar. But what I'm trying to say is within a reasonable probability, if something plays out the way it's supposed to move, then this is what should happen. There's no guarantee, right? There's no guarantee. But with our experience, with the levels, we can do a decent job of guesstimating risk reward and what the payouts will be for where they're going to go, and it's effective and it works. And then finally, with the plan, I mean, planning trades is entries and exits. It's a must. If you're not doing that yet, you need to get on top of that. Finally, you got to ask yourself, do you have the skills to plan trades effectively yet or not? Okay, because you may, and if you don't, then you have you know what homework you have, you know what you need to do to get your business on track and what you need to work on, right? And so when I say to plan trades effectively, there's a lot that could go into it. Okay, I don't know what trade setups I should be doing. Okay, I don't know how I should be sizing. I don't know what my allocation, there's all that stuff, right? You need to start figuring all that out for your business. Okay.
And it's sometimes a lot easier than expected too once you start to talk through it and understand it a little bit better.
Yeah. All right. The 100K tip.
What do you got for us today?
Plan trades, patient entries. When you plan your trades and you're patient for the entries and your setups to happen, it gives you a super unfair advantage, and you can get insane risk reward, right? Incredible risk reward when you do plan trades and you're patient for your entries and you're patient for your exits for the gains. Okay. But when you put everything together, it's what's going to give you an unfair advantage, right? I fully believe that. One of these sessions, I think we should do one where I'm just maybe sharing the charts and our levels and just showing, hey, look what happened here, look what happened there, and to get an idea of how those levels can really help.
And if you guys have questions about anything we talked about and want to know more information, either post it right now, give us, and we can hopefully answer it, or we can get back to you at a later time. Obviously, be happy to help you in any way.
Absolutely. Let's hang out for a couple minutes, see what folks are. Any folks have questions? In the meantime, be sure to also follow us on Twitter and Facebook, EDUMOMO LLC, or Spectre_trades on Twitter.
Options Dave.
Options Dave. And
It's interesting today. I was talking with one of our members, and we were looking at some contracts, and we priced out. We were talking about planning. We priced out we're working through this. We priced out, well, you would call it discount buy. And we were pricing it around $2.50. And I think the low on that swing was $2.47 on the contract.
Oh, very nice.
And it was just, once again, uncanny how when you do that type of work, how beautiful it gets, and quickly ran up to $5 before, coming back. But it was a nice, quick move, and it shows just how that planning works for those entries.
Yeah, I mean, it can be done. So I think some people are probably fearful of, I can't guess, or I don't know how much it's going to drop, or it doesn't matter. It's not just about how much is it going to drop or where it's going to go to, but you can do some planning around it, but also on the risk reward, right? Like figuring out where there's just a great risk reward, where the numbers make sense. That if your idea is right, take the bet.
And I think to that point also, if you're not planning a trade or being patient with your entry, ask yourself why you're getting in. Because you might just be trying to chase, or you might just be emotionally getting in. You're worried about missing out on the next move. Well, talk yourself through that. Think about that, right? Because then you'll have a little bit of understanding, kind of going back to what we talked about in some of the past stuff, right? Whether it has to do with that FOMO, or whether it's just being mindful of your own emotional state, like we talked about in our last week's episode, and then you can understand, hey, yeah, I really think this is a good setup. Now, where do I want to get involved in?
Yeah.
And start going through that planning process.
Definitely. So, all right. And then any questions?
I didn't see any come through on YouTube. Try and check our group. I don't see any.
All right. Well, then why don't we go ahead and wrap it up?
All right. Well, guys,
thanks everyone for coming. I hope this
another
was
fun
helpful.
week. So hope you guys stay green and have a great trading day tomorrow.
Oh yeah, and I'm looking for probably a gap up reversal possibly tomorrow. I'm looking for a short squeeze. We'll see. But with that, thanks again, everyone, and see you next time.
Absolutely. See you next week.